Imagine being stabbed 23 times, by your best friend. This actually happened to the most powerful man in the ancient world. And the craziest part, his murder led to the exact opposite of what his killers wanted. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the most dramatic story in ancient history. This is Rome, over 2,000 years ago. The year is 44 BC. The streets are packed with citizens. Marble temples shine in the golden light. The Roman Forum buzzes with life. But something terrible is about to happen. Something that will change history forever. This is the story of Julius Caesar, a man who rose from nothing, conquered nations, fell in love with a queen, and was betrayed by the person he trusted most. Buckle up, because this story has everything: pirates, battles, romance, conspiracy, and one of history's most famous murders. Let's begin. Our story starts with a teenage boy standing in a modest Roman villa. His name is Gaius Julius Caesar. He's only 16 years old, and he's just received the worst news of his life. His father has died suddenly. Just like that, Caesar is now the head of his family. But here's where it gets dangerous. Rome's dictator, a brutal man named Sulla, has just ordered Caesar to divorce his wife. Why? Because her father is Sulla's enemy. In Rome, politics is personal. And it's deadly. Most 16-year-olds would obey. They'd do whatever the dictator said to stay alive. But not Caesar. Caesar refuses. This decision is incredibly brave, and incredibly stupid. Sulla immediately puts Caesar's name on a death list. The teenager must flee Rome or be executed. As young Caesar stares at that letter, something changes in his eyes. He realizes that in Rome, you have only two choices: become powerful, or die trying. This moment will define his entire life. A few years later, after Sulla's death, Caesar is finally allowed to return. But he knows he needs education if he's going to succeed in Roman politics. So he books passage to Rhodes to study public speaking. Opening square bracket. Then, disaster strikes. Pirates capture his ship. In the ancient Mediterranean, this is basically a death sentence. Pirates are ruthless. They torture, they kill, they don't care about your family name. But watch what Caesar does. The pirates demand 20 talents of silver for his release. That's about $600,000 in today's money. Most prisoners would beg for mercy, cry, promise anything. Caesar laughs in their faces. He tells them, 20 talents. I'm insulted. I'm worth at least 50 talents. For the next 38 days, while waiting for his ransom, Caesar treats the whole thing like a vacation. He writes poetry. He exercises. He forces the pirates to be quiet when he's sleeping. And he keeps telling them, over and over, when I'm free, I'm coming back. And I'm going to crucify every single one of you. The pirates think this is hilarious. This cocky young Roman is all talk, right? Wrong.
The ransom arrives. Caesar is freed. The pirates sail away, laughing, counting their silver. Opening square bracket. 3 weeks later, Caesar returns. He's raised a fleet of ships. He's gathered fighting men, and he's hunted down every single pirate who captured him. Storm clouds gather as Caesar's warships close in. There's no escape for the pirates now. They're captured. They're terrified. They realize this young Roman wasn't joking. Caesar keeps his promise. Every single one is crucified. But here's the thing: Caesar isn't cruel for the sake of cruelty. Before crucifying them, he has their throats cut first, as a mercy. Why? Because during his captivity, they treated him relatively well. This tells you everything about Caesar. He keeps his word, he rewards loyalty, and he never, ever forgets. This story spreads across Rome like wildfire. People start talking about Julius Caesar. They start remembering his name.
Caesar climbs the political ladder and becomes a military commander. He's sent to Spain, and there, in a temple, something happens that reveals his deepest ambition. Opening square bracket. Caesar stands before a massive marble statue of Alexander the Great. Suddenly, tears stream down his face. His officers rush over, concerned. "Commander, what's wrong?" Caesar looks up at Alexander's stone face and says, "Alexander conquered the entire known world by my age. And look at me, I've accomplished nothing." Think about that for a second. Most people would be proud of what Caesar had already achieved. But Caesar doesn't compare himself to normal people. He compares himself to Alexander the Great, the greatest conqueror who ever lived. This is ambition on a level most of us can't even imagine. Caesar doesn't just want to be successful. He doesn't just want to be important. He wants to be the greatest man who ever lived. And you know what? He's going to come pretty close. Back in Rome, Caesar makes a move that changes everything. In a private chamber, lit only by candles, 3 of Rome's most powerful men meet in secret. This is Julius Caesar. This is Pompey the Great, Rome's legendary general. And this is Crassus, the richest man in the entire Roman world. Together, they form a secret alliance. History will call it the First Triumvirate. Think of it like a conspiracy. These 3 men are basically taking over Rome without anyone realizing it. Pompey controls the military reputation. Crassus controls the money. Caesar controls the people. It's an unstoppable combination. They shake hands in the shadows. Maps of the Roman world spread across the table. Each man is smiling, but each man is also calculating. Each one believes that eventually, he'll betray the others and take all the power for himself. Caesar marries his daughter Julia to Pompey, making their political alliance a family bond. And then Caesar does something genius. He gets himself appointed governor of Gaul. That's modern-day France. Why does Caesar want Gaul? Because that's where he's going to become a legend. For the next 9 years, Caesar wages war in Gaul. Picture this. Caesar on a white war horse, wearing golden armor that catches the sunset. Behind him, 30,000 Roman legionaries in perfect formation. Their red shields locked together like a wall. Their spears gleaming, eagle standards raised high, charging toward them, fierce Gallic warriors with war paint, wild hair, roaring battle cries. This is warfare on an epic scale. Caesar proves to be a military genius. He doesn't just win battles. He wins them brilliantly, using tactics that will be studied for thousands of years. He crosses the Rhine River into Germany, first Roman general ever to do it. He invades Britain, twice. He conquers tribe after tribe. But there's a dark side to this glory. Modern historians estimate over 1 million Gauls die in these wars. Another million are enslaved. Entire tribes are wiped from existence. Caesar becomes fabulously wealthy from the plunder. And he writes a book about his campaigns, commentaries on the Gallic Wars, that makes him famous across the Roman world. But his greatest test is still coming. In 52 BC, a Gallic chief named Vercingetorix does something no one has done before. He unites the tribes against Rome. Closing square bracket. This is Caesar's greatest challenge. And this is one of the most incredible military achievements in human history. Look at this from above. Vercingetorix and his army are trapped inside a fortress on a hill. Caesar builds a massive wall around them, 10 miles long, to keep them trapped inside. But then a huge Gallic relief army arrives. 250,000 warriors coming to rescue Vercingetorix. Caesar is trapped between 2 armies. Inside the fortress, outside the fortress. Enemies on all sides. So what does Caesar do? He builds a second wall. Facing outward. Now he's fighting a war in 2 directions at the same time. For weeks, it's chaos. Smoke from fires. Thousands dying every day. Caesar rides along the walls, directing troops, fighting personally when needed. His men are exhausted. They're outnumbered. They're surrounded. But they trust Caesar with their lives. And against impossible odds, Caesar wins. Both Gallic armies are defeated. Vercingetorix surrenders. Caesar's conquest of Gaul is complete. Julius Caesar is now the most famous general in the Roman world. But while Caesar is winning glory in Gaul, tragedy strikes back home in Rome. Opening square bracket, closing square bracket. This is a scene no father ever wants to face. Caesar's beloved daughter Julia is dead. She died in childbirth. The baby died too. Caesar stands on one side of the bed, heartbroken. Pompey kneels on the other side, devastated. Julia was the only daughter Caesar ever had. She was also Pompey's wife, and he truly loved her. Moonlight streams through the window. Candles flicker. Flowers lie scattered around her peaceful body. But this isn't just a personal tragedy. It's a political disaster. Julia was the bond between Caesar and Pompey. She was what kept these 2 powerful men working together instead of fighting each other. Now she's gone. And remember Crassus, the 3rd member of the Triumvirate. He's also dead now, killed in battle fighting in the east. The alliance is broken. Back in Rome, the Senate starts to fear Caesar. He has a massive army. He's wildly popular. They see him as a threat to the Republic. Led by men like Cato, they start plotting against Caesar. They turn to Pompey for protection. The trap is being set. January 10, 49 BC. Dawn breaks over the Rubicon River. Opening square moments in human history. And Julius Caesar knows it. Behind him, his loyal legions wait in the morning mist. Thousands of men who have followed him through 9 years of war. Men who would die for him without question. Ahead of him, across that river, lies Italy. Lies Rome. Lies his destiny. The Senate has ordered Caesar to disband his army and return to Rome alone, as a private citizen. Caesar knows exactly what this means. His enemies will put him on trial. They'll destroy him. Everything he's built will be taken away. But there's a law, an ancient, sacred Roman law. No general may cross the Rubicon with an army. To do so is treason. It means civil war. Look at Caesar's face. He's staring at that river. Then back at his men. Then forward again. This is the ultimate choice. Obey and be destroyed, or fight and risk everything. For one long moment, the future of Rome balances on the edge of a sword. Caesar makes his decision. Opening square bracket, closing square bracket. Aliae acta est, he says. The die is cast. His white horse steps into the water. Ripples spread across the Rubicon. Behind him, thousands of soldiers follow. Water splashes. Banners fly. The morning mist swirls around them. There's no turning back now. This moment is so famous that we still use the phrase today. Crossing the Rubicon means passing a point of no return. Making a decision you can never undo. Caesar has chosen war over surrender. Power over peace. Everything or nothing. Civil war has begun. And here's the shocking part. Caesar wins almost without fighting. Town after town in Italy opens their gates to him. The people love Caesar, not the Senate. They remember how he gave them bread and games. They remember his victories in Gaul. Pompey and the Senate flee Rome in panic. They retreat to Greece to gather their forces. Caesar enters Rome in triumph. But he doesn't stop. He chases Pompey across the Mediterranean. August 9, 48 BC. The plains of Pharsalus, Greece. This is it, the final showdown between the two greatest generals of their generation. Former allies, former family, now bitter enemies. Dust and chaos fill the air. Thousands of soldiers clash in the Greek heat. Pompey commands nearly 50,000 men. Caesar has barely half that number. But look at Caesar. There he is, on his white horse, wearing his golden armor. His arm outstretched, directing his veteran legions with perfect timing. These aren't just soldiers. These are men who've followed Caesar through hell. They've conquered Gaul. They've crossed the Rubicon. They trust their commander with absolute faith. Caesar's tactical genius shines. He holds back his best troops, then unleashes them at exactly the right moment. Pompey's line breaks. His cavalry flees. The battle becomes a rout. Pompey himself barely escapes. He flees to Egypt, hoping the young king there will give him shelter. But Pompey's luck has run out. When Pompey arrives in Egypt, the young king Ptolemy makes a terrible decision. He has Pompey murdered, beheaded. Ptolemy thinks this will please Caesar. He's wrong. Opening square bracket. When Caesar arrives in Egypt and they present him with Pompey's head, Caesar weeps. Pompey had been his friend once. His ally, his son-in-law. Caesar wanted to defeat Pompey honorably, not see him butchered like a common criminal. But Egypt holds something else for Caesar. Look at this moment. The lavish Egyptian palace. Massive columns covered in hieroglyphics. Golden afternoon light streaming through tall windows. And there she is, Cleopatra, the most famous queen in history. She's breathtakingly beautiful, wearing gold and turquoise, with an elaborate headdress that marks her as royalty. But it's not just her beauty. It's her intelligence, her charisma, her power. Caesar stands before her in his Roman armor and red cloak. Their eyes meet, and in that moment, both of their lives change forever. Cleopatra is fighting a civil war against her brother Ptolemy for Egypt's throne. Caesar decides to help her. Is it love? Is it politics? Is it both? All we know is that Julius Caesar, at age 52, has fallen for a 21-year-old queen. When Pompey arrives in Egypt, the young king Ptolemy makes a terrible decision. He has Pompey murdered, beheaded. Ptolemy thinks this will please Caesar. He's wrong. Opening square bracket. When Caesar arrives in Egypt and they present him with Pompey's head, Caesar weeps. Pompey had been his friend once, his ally, his son-in-law. Caesar wanted to defeat Pompey honorably, not see him butchered like a common criminal. But Egypt holds something else for Caesar. Look at this moment. The lavish Egyptian palace, massive columns covered in hieroglyphics, golden afternoon light streaming through tall windows. And there she is, Cleopatra, the most famous queen in history. She's breathtakingly beautiful, wearing gold and turquoise, with an elaborate headdress that marks her as royalty. But it's not just her beauty. It's her intelligence, her charisma, her power. Caesar stands before her in his Roman armor and red cloak. Their eyes meet, and in that moment, both of their lives change forever. Cleopatra is fighting a civil war against her brother Ptolemy for Egypt's throne. Caesar decides to help her. Is it love? Is it politics? Is it both? All we know is that Julius Caesar, at age 52, has fallen for a 21-year-old queen. After crushing the last of his enemies, Caesar returns to Rome. And what a return it is. Look at this. Caesar stands in a golden chariot pulled by 4 white horses. He wears his purple cloak and golden laurel crown. Flower petals and confetti fill the air like snow. Thousands, no, tens of thousands, of Roman citizens pack the streets, cheering so loud you can barely think. Roman legions march in perfect formation behind him. Prisoners and conquered kings walk in chains before his chariot. Caesar rides under a massive marble victory arch. This is called a Roman triumph, the highest honor any general can receive. The crowd goes absolutely wild. These people love Caesar. He's their champion. He gave them bread when they were hungry, entertainment when they were bored, victory when Rome was threatened. Caesar waves to the crowd. He's smiling, but if you look closely at his eyes, you can see something else. Is it satisfaction, or is it just the beginning? Is this enough for Julius Caesar? We're about to find out. Caesar is now the undisputed master of Rome. He's made dictator, not for 6 months, like the old days. Not for a year, for life. Dictator perpetuo. Dictator forever. Opening square bracket. Look at him sitting on that elaborate throne. Purple toga with gold trim. Laurel crown glinting in the afternoon light. Scrolls and maps surround him. The Roman Senate stands in a circle around their new master. Caesar starts transforming Rome. He reforms the calendar, creating what we now call the Julian calendar, the basis for our calendar today. He gives land to his soldiers. He expands Roman citizenship. He starts massive building projects. He plans to drain swamps, build libraries, even dig a canal across Greece. The man is a visionary. But he's also making mistakes. Big mistakes. Watch the senators' faces. Some look respectful, but others, their eyes tell a different story. Resentment, anger, fear. Caesar refuses to stand when the Senate enters. He accepts the title, dictator for life. People start talking about crowning him king. And in Rome, king is a dirty word. The Romans overthrew their kings 500 years ago. They swore never to have another one. Caesar is becoming too powerful, too arrogant, too much like a god. Some men are starting to think Rome would be better off without Caesar. In a dark room, lit only by a single candle, traitors gather. Opening square bracket. Look at their faces, half hidden in shadow. These are Roman senators, respectable men, patriots, they'd call themselves. On the table, daggers, scrolls with plans, and in the background, watching silently, a bust of Caesar himself. The leaders are Brutus and Cassius. About 60 senators total are in on the plot. They call themselves the liberators. They believe they're saving Rome from tyranny. Cassius is the driving force. He's convinced that Caesar will destroy the Republic. He's probably right, but Brutus is different. Brutus is Caesar's closest friend. Caesar has always treated him like a son. Some Romans whisper that Brutus might actually be Caesar's son, that Caesar had an affair with Brutus's mother decades ago. But Brutus loves the Republic more than he loves Caesar. More than he loves his own father, if that's what Caesar is. The conspirators make their plan. They'll kill Caesar publicly, in the Senate, in front of everyone. They'll make it a statement. This isn't a secret assassination. It's an execution. They choose their date, March 15th. The Ides of March. The candle flickers. The shadows dance. The daggers gleam. In 3 days, everything will change. March 15th 44 BC. Dawn. In Caesar's bedroom, his wife Calpurnia clutches his arm desperately. Tears stream down her beautiful face. Please, she begs, don't go to the Senate today. I had terrible nightmares, she tells him. I saw you covered in blood. I saw you dying. Please, Julius, stay home, just today, please. Outside the window, storm clouds gather. The sky looks angry. Caesar has heard other warnings too. Priests sacrificed animals that morning and found horrible omens. The entrails were wrong. The signs were bad. And 3 weeks ago, that fortune-teller woman grabbed his arm in the street and said, "Beware the Ides of March." Today is the Ides of March. Caesar looks troubled. For a moment, you can see doubt in his eyes. Should he listen? Should he stay home? But then his pride kicks in. Julius Caesar isn't afraid. He's defeated armies, conquered nations, crossed the Rubicon. How can he show fear of some bad dreams and superstitious warnings? He gently removes Calpurnia's hand from his arm. "I must go," he says. Calpurnia watches him leave. She knows. Somehow, she knows she'll never see her husband alive again. Caesar walks through the Roman streets toward the Senate building. Opening square bracket. He's wearing his white and purple toga. His laurel crown sits on his head. The morning light should look beautiful, but somehow it feels ominous. Citizens watch him pass. They can feel something's wrong. The air feels heavy. And there, in the crowd, that same fortune-teller woman. She calls out again, "Beware the Ides of March." Caesar sees her. He hears her. He even smiles a little. "The Ides of March have come," he says to her. "Yes," she replies, "but they have not yet gone." Caesar keeps walking. The Senate building's marble columns loom ahead like the pillars of fate itself. Every step he takes brings him closer to destiny, closer to history, closer to his death. Shadows seem to reach for him like dark hands. Birds fly away. Dogs bark. The universe itself is trying to warn Julius Caesar. But Caesar has never listened to warnings. Why start now? He climbs the Senate steps. He passes through the doors. He walks to his death. Inside the Senate, the conspirators are waiting. Opening square bracket. It happens fast. The senators surround Caesar. One grabs his toga. Caesar cries out, "This is violence." And then, the daggers strike. Look at this frozen moment. Time seems to stop. Daggers raised. Caesar's face showing shock, betrayal, pain. And there, stepping forward with his knife, is Brutus. Caesar sees him, his friend, maybe his son, the man he trusted most in the world. Ancient historians say Caesar saw Brutus and stopped fighting back. He pulled his toga over his head, choosing to die with dignity rather than watch his friend kill him. Some say his last words were, "Et tu, Brute, you too, Brutus." Others say he said nothing, just covered his face and accepted death. 23 times, they stab him. 23 wounds, not all of them fatal. Just one would have been enough. But the conspirators want to make sure. They want to be thorough. They want Caesar dead, and Julius Caesar, the conqueror of Gaul, the man who crossed the Rubicon, the most powerful person in the world, falls. Caesar collapses at the base of Pompey's statue. The irony is almost poetic. He dies at the feet of the man he defeated. His white toga is soaked in blood. He lies on the cold marble floor of the Senate. Rays of light stream through the high windows, illuminating his peaceful face. His laurel crown has fallen beside him. The conspirators stand back, their daggers dripping red. Suddenly, they look shocked, horrified. They just killed Julius Caesar. They just murdered the most famous man in Rome. The Senate is silent, completely silent. One of the most powerful men who ever lived, is dead. He was 55 years old. The conspirators thought this was the beginning of Rome's freedom. They thought they'd be celebrated as heroes. They thought they'd saved the Republic. They were wrong about everything. The conspirators' plan falls apart immediately. 3 days later, Caesar's funeral. The Roman Forum is packed with tens of thousands of citizens. Smoke rises from Caesar's funeral pyre. And there stands Mark Antony, Caesar's most loyal friend. He holds up Caesar's toga, still stained with blood. He shows the crowd every single stab wound. 23 holes in the fabric. "Friends, Romans, countrymen," Antony begins. And then he gives the greatest speech in Roman history. He talks about Caesar's victories, his generosity, how Caesar left money to every Roman citizen in his will, how Caesar loved Rome more than his own life. He shows them the bloody toga again and again. The crowd starts crying. Then they start shouting. Then they start rioting. "Burn the Senate," they scream. "Kill the traitors." The conspirators thought they'd be heroes. Instead, they're the most hated men in Rome. They have to flee the city in fear for their lives. Mark Antony has turned the entire city against them with just words. Civil war is about to erupt. Again. And the irony, the conspirators killed Caesar to save the Republic. Instead, They're about to destroy it forever. Rome tears itself apart. Opening square bracket. On one side, Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir, just 18 years old, and Mark Antony, leading Caesar's loyal veterans. On the other side, Brutus and Cassius, fleeing with what forces they can gather. Look at this chaos. Armies clashing, Rome burning in the background. Lightning splits the stormy sky. This is the death of everything Rome stood for. The Republic, the system of government Rome had for nearly 500 years, is dying. The conspirators wanted to save it. Instead, they killed it. At the Battle of Philippi, Octavian and Antony crush the conspirators' forces. Cassius falls on his sword. Brutus does the same. The liberators are dead. Every single one will die violently. But here's the most ironic part. The most tragic part. By killing Caesar, the conspirators created the exact thing they feared most. They created an emperor. From the ashes of civil war, a new Rome emerges. This is Octavian, Caesar's adopted son and heir. But soon, he'll have a new name, Augustus. He stands on the palace steps in imperial purple robes and a golden laurel crown. Behind him, Rome has been rebuilt. The wars are over. Peace has finally come. Above him, in the golden clouds, it almost looks like Caesar's spirit is watching. Or maybe it's just how the morning light hits his marble statue. Octavian, now Augustus, becomes Rome's first emperor. The Republic is dead, the Roman Empire is born. And it happened because the conspirators killed Caesar trying to prevent exactly this. They created the very thing they feared. Caesar never became king, but his adopted son became something greater. And every ruler after him, for the next 1500 years, will take Caesar's name as their title. Kaiser in German, Tsar in Russian, both come from Caesar. Julius Caesar lost his life. But he won immortality. 2000 years later, we're still talking about Julius Caesar. Look at his influence through history. A magnificent marble bust of Caesar in the foreground. Behind it, fading into golden light, we see his eternal impact. Crowns of German Kaisers and Russian Tsars, both titles from his name. A modern calendar showing July, the month named in his honor. Roman architecture that influenced buildings worldwide. Every time you say the month of July, you're saying Julius's month. Every time you hear about a Caesar salad, or a Caesarine section, that's his name. The words, Tsar, Kaiser, Tsar, all corruptions of Caesar. He wanted to be remembered forever. He wanted to be the greatest man who ever lived. And you know what? He succeeded. So what's the lesson here? Maybe it's that ambition can lift you to incredible heights and destroy you at the same moment. Maybe it's that betrayal often creates the opposite of what you intend. The conspirators wanted to save the Republic. They destroyed it instead. Maybe it's that one person's choices really can change the world. Caesar chose to cross the Rubicon. That choice led to an empire that lasted 1500 years. Or maybe there's no simple lesson. Maybe Caesar was just a man, ambitious, brilliant, flawed, human, who lived so boldly that we're still talking about him 2 millennia later. Was he a hero or a villain? A liberator or a tyrant? A genius or a glory seeker? Maybe he was all of those things. Maybe that's what makes his story so fascinating. One thing's for certain, Julius Caesar changed history forever. And his name will never die. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Julius Caesar's incredible life, do me a huge favor. Thumbs up, smash that like button, it really helps the algorithm show this video to more history lovers like you. Bell subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next epic history story. We've got videos coming on Cleopatra, Alexander the Great, and the fall of the Roman Empire. Send mail, share this video with anyone who loves history, drama, or just great storytelling. And if you want to support the channel even more, we've got exclusive content on Patreon where you can vote on which historical figure we cover next.